Hey everybody, welcome to Nette's Cow Emporium. If you're new to the channel, we are 5th generation farmers on Glenn's family's farm in southern Alberta, Canada, where we raise beef cattle, among other things. And welcome back to anybody who is followers of our channel, friends and family, including new friends. Awesome to have you. So we just wrapped up this 21-day challenge of eating only things that we grew, raised, harvested, or foraged from the farm in 2020. And the only things that we allowed ourselves was coffee, salt, pepper, olive oil, and I did a bit of a poll, and we were able to use yeast and or baking powder soda as we needed because we did grow wheat that we were able to grind into flour. So Glenn, how do you think the challenge went?
Well, I'm glad it's over. I think it went pretty good. We were pretty excited going in. We were kind of getting everything ready to go, and we were planning for a few days ahead of time and getting psyched. And then it was right after Christmas, and we started in on about halfway through day 1, day 2, day 3. Kind of crashed after Christmas, and we started feeling kind of pretty sorry for ourselves and pretty grumpy. And I don't know if it was just a change in food or whether it was coming down from Christmas or what. But anyways, after a few days of that, we kind of started, thank goodness, to get a routine figured out and got our food figured out, and our moods improved, and we're still married. So
the coffee helped with that.
Yeah, the coffee helps with that.
You were missing your cream, though.
I was missing cream. We did have some cow milk, so there was a little bit of that, but we just had enough cow milk to kind of skate through, so we kind of had to be careful what we used it on so we didn't run out.
So, now that we're done the challenge, I realized some of the things that I was missing and that I was looking forward to was having milk and cream for the coffee. Not necessarily having sugar back, but having more protein sources. Like it would have been nice to have some beef. However,
well, we've been asked why we didn't include beef in the challenge because, we raise beef. That's what we do. But we take the beef and we sell it, and that pays the mortgage. And if we'd have butchered one of our own, which we do some years, but we didn't this year, we sold it. So we didn't include beef just for that reason. But ordinarily we have steak and roasts and pork and all that. And to be honest, if we'd have had some red meat to go with the chicken and the eggs and the turkey, it would have made this challenge a lot easier because
no problem.
Yeah, we really missed the red meat in the diet just because there wasn't a lot of variety. Everything had the same texture and everything was brown. And
everything was brown except for
carrots were. Ooh, there we go. We were fading out on the computer there.
Even the computer was tired of us talking about the brown food.
Yeah, well, about 3/4 of the way through, Annette, she was having a pickled carrot, and I don't know. I knew that it was just about time for the challenge to be over because I was looking at that pickled carrot, and I was just craving it, just like somebody might crave a chocolate bar or something. And so I had a pickled carrot, and I got the same dopamine hit that you'd get from eating a chocolate bar from a pickled carrot, and there's just something wrong about that. I was really beginning to question my sanity, and I knew it was about time we wrapped this thing up pretty soon.
21 days felt like just the right length. I was wondering, I said to Glenn today's the first day we're not doing the challenge, and I'm like, why did I pick 21? Why not 30 or something? But, I think we're both glad that we only did it for 21 days because it was actually an enormous amount of work.
Yeah, preparing was a lot of work. The grinding the flour, twice a week, it seemed like we had to do that, and we don't have the best grinder for it. Had lots of wheat, and the cleaning didn't take too long, but the grinder wasn't working as quickly as we'd like it to, so you had to spend an afternoon I mean, you didn't have to just do it by hand or anything, but you did have to pay attention to it and turn it off every 10 minutes to cool down.
Yeah, so we didn't burn it out.
So you'd be in the house, you'd be doing other things, but it just took time. And the brown flour was pretty good for like the tortillas and stuff. We got really good recipe for doing tortillas, and not too bad with potato bread. We tried with some sourdough bread, but it just was
the whole wheat flour was too heavy.
It was just too heavy. We couldn't make that work.
Even if I added a little bit of yeast to it, it was still just too heavy.
Yeah. As far as the food goes, growing the food, you think of a survival garden sort of thing. I've always thought of, calories, like get lots of potatoes put away, just get lots of, carrots and the main stuff put in the fridge. But you really realize after a while of eating all that food that it's just as important to have some things in there that have some color or just different flavor. Like everything was brown, so anything to add a little bit of red or orange or green or anything in the wintertime to your meal was a welcome change. And the flavor profile too, anything that just, if we'd have had maybe some molasses or I don't know, ketchup or something like that.
Well, I did make the tomato jam, and that was quite lovely. We used that as a barbecue sauce.
Great. Yep, for sure.
Yeah.
And the salsa was really nice to kind of just change things up when we put salsa on stuff, for sure.
We didn't use a lot of salsa until the last few days, and then we went through like 4 jars of it.
We have salsa. And boy, that was, it was getting used up quick.
I realized that I couldn't find some stuff. I dehydrated some chives from the garden and looked for them. I still haven't found them. So we did run out of a few things. We ran out of
dried apples. Yeah, they went through them pretty quick.
Well, and the milk, of course. We had a couple of milk that were bad on us, so we couldn't use them. It was about 2 liters that was frozen at a time, and I think it came from the same day. When we unthawed it, it separated, and I can only wonder if I maybe froze it when it was too warm or something. I'm not sure, because we would have pasteurized it and then put it into the bags to go in the freezer, but I must have did it bad anyway.
Yeah, the milk that froze good, you would hardly know that it was frozen, but the stuff that wasn't any good, it was just separated into curds and whey.
Yeah,
it was strange.
Yeah, there's no way I don't think it would have hurt us to use it, but it was grody. I
used some in my coffee while it was still frozen.
Well, yeah, before we knew better.
Cream, and then it's like, but yeah, it didn't hurt me any.
One of the things that I would have like little panic attacks when we didn't have like snack things ready to eat, so we ended up, Glenn made these
granola bars,
and I made muffins, and Glenn was the bread guy. He made the tortillas that he also turned into chips. So I mean, those were really nice to have that crunch.
We made some crackers too.
And the seeds from the squashes were really nice to have for a snack as well.
Yeah, they were salty, and we put some of those in the granola bars too, just to add a little bit of crunch and salt to them, and they were okay in there, for sure.
So the first batch of granola bars you made, we actually took our frozen Saskatoons and threw them in the dehydrator for a couple of days, and that was a really nice sort of, they got a little bit sweeter because Saskatoons aren't very sweet, and a little bit of a different kind of a chew in the granola bar. It was lovely.
Yeah, just because we didn't have raisins or anything like that to put in there. The challenge wasn't too bad here on the farm, but when you went into town, like to go by the fast food places, or I took my daughter back to college, and when I was dropping her off where she's living down there, I stopped at Kentucky Fried and got her a to-go box of that, and that day I just had some oatmeal for breakfast, and I'd run her down there, and we're delivering her with this chicken, and it was in the car with us, and I'll tell you, that was a challenge, but I didn't eat any, and I came home, but I was, yeah.
I told them that was the same day that some friends at work got Wendy's for takeout.
Yeah, things that we should have maybe done different, I think, was our cheese. We froze some of our cheese in different sizes, and the stuff we froze, some of it was in too big containers. So when we unthawed it, we just had too much cheese and we couldn't eat our way through it quick enough. And when you're eating your homegrown food and stuff, it seems like you got to bake twice a week because if after 3 or 4 days, all the homemade stuff starts to lose that really nice fresh flavor. Like bread
doesn't have any preservatives in it.
Yeah, so after about 3 days, your bread is only good for toast, and after 5 days, it's only good for the chickens. So, and I think we made some noodles too, and one of the homemade noodles with the flour. And we've done that before with white flour, but we did it with our homegrown brown flour. It was super good the night we did it, but the next day,
I took leftovers for lunch, and the noodles went completely mushy. It was off. I couldn't eat it. I just ate around them because they were gross.
So that was kind of surprising. We hadn't run into that before, but it was good though. We learned a lot doing this, that's for sure. We have someone who keeps bees on our place, so we had some honey because we have an arrangement from him, and that's what we used for a sweetener for most of our stuff. So we weren't short of a sweetener. We put it in the bread and everything. So we were still eating, sugar in the form of honey, but we're not really used to, usually brown sugar, white sugar. We do eat honey, but usually it's spread out with...
We don't use it exclusively for baking or anything.
Yeah, and we were using it exclusively for baking, and there was certainly a learning curve there. We hadn't done a lot of baking with honey, and it sure made some nice stuff, but... It was just like with everything else. The sweetness was the same in everything. It would have been,
same flavor.
So Annette said she was going to start buzzing at the end of that.
I was going to start buzzing. I was sure I was going to turn into a bee.
Because everything we had honey in it, and didn't really have the cravings that you do sometimes for like processed food. I don't think, although the brown bread was really yummy, I don't think I ever just
missed.
Had a craving sitting in my chair. Boy, I could really use a slice of brown bread, even, with some toast and...
Oh, I see what you mean. Oh, yeah. Right.
Like you ate your meals and then you were sort of done, the food was good, but you didn't just have
you did have some of the sourdough toasted with honey on it. That was just kind of if we had a really savory supper or something, because what do you have for dessert?
Sweet. Yeah.
So we never made a cake or anything or cookies because what it would be brown flour and honey.
We did make some caramel one day with some homemade butter and some honey in it. It turned out pretty good. I was just hoping to have a little bit different, sweetness or flavor profile to put in with stuff. But anyways, the caramel just ended up being candy, and we just did that
delicious.
Once. But it was good.
It was so good, made with the honey.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was awesome. Anything else?
I think that about wraps it up.
Yeah.
I'm glad we're done.
I'm glad we're done too, because the fun part of filming this today is because we've had our normal food today. So I was able to take a Big Mac salad for lunch, and I took an orange, and I took some vegetables with me to work today. And I can tell you, I sure appreciated the flavor of the fresh fruit and vegetables. I looked like a lunatic. I was walking around, I had my mask on, but I was peeling the orange right in front of my nose, sniffing it. I'm sure everybody thought I was just cuckoo. And when I put it in my mouth, wow. I don't think I'll ever forget that. At least I don't think so. Glenn's like, oh yeah, in a week you'll be like, yeah, celery schmellery.
I had a fresh apple today, and it's the first fresh fruit I've had for a while, and it was sure good. I know.
Delicious.
Yeah, delicious.
So, if you wanted to do a challenge, something like that, man, you sure have an appreciation for
Gives you an appreciation for, what the pioneers went through, eating their own food for all that time, and that trip to town where they could just get something a little different was just,
and even
see
then
how
it wouldn't have
special
been
that was for them.
Much different. Yeah, it would have been, their whole lives would have been our 21 days.
Yeah.
And they wouldn't have known any different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, thanks for watching, everybody. And so coming up on the Cow Emporium, we're still about a month away from calving. but you can bet there's going to be some calving videos. Anyway, Cow Emporium out. Bye.
Bye.
Hey, Tanner.
Hi.
So you've been here for this 21-day challenge. What's your thoughts on it?
My thoughts? Well, I think you guys did a pretty good job overall. I've been having quite a fair bit of the food that you were having as well, and kind of through collateral damage suffered probably some of the same problems you did. I noticed that a lot of the food kind of had the same flavor profile and kind of the same texture and the same look. And, you know, after a while eating the same thing, it starts to get a little bit boring. So, you know, when you're eating stuff that you've just grown yourself, it's nice to have as much variety as possible, I think.
Yeah, for sure. What was your favorite food that we made?
Favorite food? I would probably just have to say some of the chicken. I mean, probably some of the breaded chicken actually was pretty good when you made kind of the homemade breading for it. Yeah, that was pretty solid. Probably also some of the chips as well. Homemade chips are pretty good.
Yeah, except for that first try where I burnt some. Yeah. So what did you miss the most? What was it that you went for that we couldn't have?
Coffee cream and milk. Mostly because I drink a lot of cream and milk. And if we were to use homemade stuff and I was to drink some of your guys' supply, you'd run out pretty quick. So had to do that. I didn't mind, like I did buy some bread for myself, but I didn't mind the bread that you guys were using. I just didn't want to steal your stuff.
You said once that you thought we would starve to death if you ate our food. Clearly that wasn't a thing.
No, you guys made it. And
Awesome.
I made it surviving.
Awesome. Thanks, Tanner.
You bet.